Hello, 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 and welcome to the Rag Company podcast. I'm Dane Hennen. To my right, Morgan McMurry.
Hello.
Caught you by surprise. Didn't know you were going to be first.
You did,
All right.
I'm never
Then
first.
we've also got Anthony Fisher, who's
Hello.
drinking out of a cup, and Levi Gates.
What's up, guys?
And last but not least, certainly not least, because he's our guest today, Patrick. Introduce yourself, Patrick.
Hi, guys. I'm Patrick, owner of the Rag Company in Europe, and sitting outside in the garden because we
It looks pretty nice. It actually looks lovely. You know, we haven't heard a lot from people being outdoors, so that's it's nice to see.
It is a
somebody's
thing
doing
these
it.
days. Yeah, but I'm in a small corner in the garden, so that people don't see me.
Sure. And so you're based in the Netherlands.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're in a different area from us. How are things in your neck of the woods? And of course, it freezes.
It's
at that
quite
exact
similar.
moment.
I still here or?
Yeah,
you're here
here.
now.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. We'll have Tim snip. So you can start again. Just go ahead and start your comment right here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think it's quite similar that you guys have with in the US, because that's what we see in the news, right? In you guys probably, but the things, it's kind of hectic. People have to stay indoors, and we have like what they call here an intelligent lockdown, where people are allowed to move to their work. Depending on the work that you do, of course, if you're a barber, a dentist, and you have to be in close contact with people, you're not allowed to work. But if you are we're in, and that's mostly online sales at the moment. So we hear from our clients who are in Spain, France, Belgium, they are not allowed to go outside. And even if they go outside, they can be stopped by the police, asked what they are going to do. If they don't have a valid reason, they will get a fine. And I think it's like 300 or 400 euros at the moment. So that is like
that's enough.
$450 in dollars.
Yeah,
And
that's
what's going on here now. Yeah.
So basically, and have a decent reason to be out. But I mean, you're probably kind of in tighter quarters around there too. I know everything's a little more spread out where we are, but everybody is in pretty close proximity where you're at. So I can see why they would put extra security in place.
Well, you should have expected extra security, but being one of the smallest countries in Europe, we are quite flexible, still flexible at the moment, so we are, like I said, we are able to move around. If you are on the highway in Belgium for no reason, they will fine you for sure. And I haven't heard people being locked up yet, just when they give parties, and that's what happened in the Netherlands as well. And what they start doing now in the city of Rotterdam is that they are using cars with cameras to see if people are, how do you say that? Crowding. So if you have like a crowd of people, it will be inspected. People will be recognized and they will get fined, and they will get, what they're working on now here is to give like the younger people, because they are not taking this very serious. So they hang out in parks and they mingle, so they will get like a fine, and what they want is that they get a house arrest.
Oof.
So that they have to stay indoors. But how is that? How is that in the US at the moment? Because that's interesting for us as Europeans.
It is interesting in the US. Maybe this is just from my own personal viewpoint that I've seen. It seems like it's less the younger crowd who's not taking it seriously, and more, the older crowd seems to be taking it less seriously. So you run into those situations where a lot of it depends on where people are getting their information from. And I think that contributes amount to it.
Yeah.
But overall, it's definitely something where most people seem now to be taking it seriously. But earlier on, it was a little tough to get people on board with the idea that, hey, maybe if you don't have to go out and do that thing, don't go out and do that thing because you might potentially be spreading it, not even realize it. But people have a hard time grasping the concept of something they can't see. So it could be a little challenging to get over that hurdle. But now that enough people are seeing the effects of it, I think people are taking it more seriously now.
Well, and there's the defiance factor. So
there's a really strong independent streak of like, you can't tell me what to do.
Just don't believe that it's real or any of that stuff. And so they're just
we have a lot
about
of
their business.
Well, there's just a lot of the Americans out there that, either they think that they think they, like, some people still are making, I still see posts on my Facebook about people saying that, oh, it's just another flu, it's not a big deal. And I'm like, holy crap, you're still saying this?
People are like sitting there comparing like car crash stats and all this stuff.
And they
totally normal. No.
And they're saying that more people, die on the road of all this stuff. And while yes, some of those things are true, this is just a new variable that's just been thrown into the mix of people already dying every day of other causes. And they're just kind of discrediting it versus just at least acknowledging it that this is a thing. And
there are vaccines for those other sicknesses. And they're just kind of hard-headed. And then, I didn't know how many damn conspiracy theorists I had on my don't even get started on that.
Started happening. And then, then I would say, and it's not like maybe like 2 or 3 people. I've seen probably 40, 50 people posting up things saying that this is a man-made virus and blah, blah, blah. And this is a big thing. The media is all in on this, and the president's in on this and all this stuff. And they want to crash the economy and they want to do this. And it's like, I don't
they kind of crash the economy,
that's going to happen. Yeah.
And so like, I just, when I see this, and then we, this month, right, the stimulus checks comes out from the government, where, each individual that had filed taxes previously in the year will get a lump sum of money to kind of, aid them in this time. And it's kind of funny because, you have all the people that are, it's because I see the same people that had posted a week ago saying that, it's a conspiracy theory, don't trust the government, F the government, blah, 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 I'm moving to Canada, or, just some type of negative thing. And then this week they're like, oh, when does the stimulus money get in? I've been checking my bank account. I'm like, okay. So like, I'm like, dude, you guys, like, I think that they're a big part of the problem. Those types of people that just spread that bad information, but then they feel like they deserve something for it. And I'm like, dude,
without getting too deep into it, I'm sure, Patrick, it may not necessarily come as a surprise in your neck of the woods, but here in the U.S., to get the government to give people just money like that is like pulling teeth. It's the most difficult thing. It's amazing they did what they did at all. Unfortunately, it came at the expense of a big corporate giveaway, but that's a whole other topic for another day. But the fact that it even happened at all is kind of amazing, that we're at the point where they were so desperate. They're like, okay, fine, give regular people something. And they did it.
Well, when's the last time that happened, Dane?
Tax returns don't really count. And I have heard that this is basically just going to count as income towards your future taxes. So they'll get theirs back anyway.
Yeah, I think so too,
probably.
Yeah. In the end, no free lunch. Pay for it yourself. No.
Yeah.
The thing is
in the long term,
what they do here is that, because if you're like, how do you say that? Self-employed. How do you say, entrepreneur, whatever.
Yeah.
And you're not able to do your work, or the government tells you you can't work, you will get like a reimbursement of some kind, which it's not like you can have lunches or dinners at restaurants. 1, because they're closed, and 2, because the money doesn't make up for it. So it is like to support you in your how do you say that, your daily life, the expenses that you have in your daily life. And but that doesn't make up for it, so, and I hope because there are a lot of people suffering from this.
Well, their income stops, the economy stops, but their bills don't stop, and the utilities don't stop, and all these other things are going to continue to go on. And it's like, well, it has to pause or something for people to be able to survive this in the long term. Otherwise, it just causes further chaos, and you don't want that. Now,
And that's the main problem.
Before we move on,
Yeah,
I
go
might
ahead,
say,
sorry.
if you could stop your camera so your audio might come out clear. I think it might be using a lot of data on your camera when your audio could be clear.
Maybe I can switch to. Oh, let me check.
Sure. Or if you switch to
cellular.
yeah.
Let's try this.
Sorry, Tim. Make a note at this timestamp to cut this part out.
Let me see. I can't do anything.
Just trying to come up with a solution that'll help you play back a little smoother.
Even if you just like turn off the Wi-Fi on your phone and run off cellular, Patrick, it might.
That is what I'm doing now. Is this better?
Good. Or the opposite. Wi-Fi.
It's a little better. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little better, not way better. Yeah.
It's better though.
Run with it and see what we can do. Yeah.
So we'll pick up there. So yeah, go ahead. I basically was saying things were pausing, but you pick up right where you were.
Where was I?
Well, I'll jump in. So
yeah.
Our stimulus checks that did arrive. We got ours. Anthony got his. Dane did not get his, but that's okay. Maybe later today. But the stimulus was based it on the minimum federal minimum wage, which is quite low.
Very
and they
low.
did 40 hours a week for 1 month is what they calculated it at. And so they calculated it at the lowest possible pay grade for 40 hours a week a month. And then there you go. That's your check. And so for a lot of people,
injury, they worked out an extra like 10 or 20 cents on top of that. So they're like, oh, you got more. And it's like, yeah, fractionally, just so they can get a nice round 1,200.
Yeah. Like if you think about like what, and they gave an amount per person, and then they gave you extra $500 per kid. So that's basically how they calculated it. So where I come out with a family of 4 in a much better position, it's still a fraction of what our bills are for the month, and
medications and things.
Man, it's like, yeah, there's so much that is missing. But thankfully, again, the rag company, we're still just as busy. We're still selling towels. So we're all employed. We're all still good. So that's nice. So,
well, that is a good thing,
people, it's rough. We found out there was a gal, Carolyn, went to go shopping and found a lady that was working at Walmart. And Carolyn was like, wow, you were so nice and so kind and so like such a good cashier. And the girl goes, thanks. It's my first day. And she had worked at a restaurant previously, but they got shut down and she needed to work. So she went and got a job at Walmart as a cashier, and so, and Carolyn's first words were like, well, I'm going to go see if I can go hire her. Like, because that's a hard worker. If they're bouncing from doing this to this, just because they need to make ends meet, she's like, I want that girl on our team. So, I don't know if that ever happened, but
it's very important what you're saying now, because people become more adaptive. Where you normally would say, I won't do this. People start doing that now, so, and they might have more skills than they are using at the moment. So I think that's what Carolyn was noticing, so she would be way better off in another position. But this is what is available at the moment, so, and she's trying to make ends meet. So, and that's what we see here as well. Normally people get like spoiled in the position that they're in. And if everything like overnight is gone, you have to adapt.
Yeah.
So, and that's what you see what people, and that's a good thing, I think, that people are able to adapt to a situation that they're in. And I think everybody is willing to support their family and get some food on the table, whatever you need to do for that, within reasonable reasons, of course. But that's what's going on. Yeah.
So how's Rag Company Europe doing through all this so far? Because Rag Company US is we're still. I mean, orders have not stopped. We are still
chugging
shipping,
along.
just as busy.
Yeah.
We're We've had to hire one person, and we brought on a family friend as a temp to help, just because we're having to push those orders. And with the way we've had to structure, that's caused a bit of a delay, which has caused a backup, because of the,
we've gone
trying
in and
to
folded
schedule
stuff on occasion.
Well, and same thing like how you and Edwin are doing it, where you're working these two different shifts, two teams. John has been trying to handle that as well, where we're giving a good, a certain number of staff the day off, and they're just working their schedule. Some are working 10-hour days, some are working 8-hour days, and some of the 10-hour people are working 4 days a week and taking 3 days off. And, they're just trying to figure out to give everybody the most amount of time so that there's enough of a spread between the number of people in the building and keep that number down, but also, try and continue to produce what we need to get out. So, yeah.
Well, the honest answer is that the first quarter of the year was like crazy, so we had a crazy quarter of the year to start with, which we were very happy with. Then all of a sudden, everything and everybody needed to shut down. And I was scared. I got scared because I didn't know what to expect. Today, we looked at the numbers, and we are still ahead on last year. So I'm so thankful for that, So it's only, I think it's the 15th, right?
Yeah.
15th of April. Yeah. Yep. So we are still ahead on April last year. And everything that we did this year was ahead of last year and way ahead, So that was really awesome. But still, I have like this second thought of what might come, So but what I see now
can't
is that
take anything for granted.
No, because we are in a luxury industry, So we are not mandatory to have in your household or whatever, So it is not that we sell like car care products and microfiber towels that people need to have in their daily household or in their daily life. It is like an add-on to your life. But what we see now here, and that's I think it's an interesting development, is that people get bored at home and they already cleaned up their houses. They start doing their gardens, and now they are using products to get on cleaning the cars, So the orders, they are coming in, and we are thankful.
Yeah.
So if we go to the government and we ask them, can you help us out with some money? They just start laughing. That's the situation we're in, So, and I think that's a good one. And I'm, like I said, I can't say it enough. Thankful for that. Yes. 100%.
Yeah. We've noticed a shift in more utility towels and compared to the detailing. So we're still doing the detailing stuff, but we've noticed on our Amazon orders, more utility towels, the household
really bumped up.
So just all-purpose terries. We've noticed a very big shift in them where the all-purpose terries have been selling a lot because people are using them as towels for cleaning their house. And so that's where a lot of people have been using. Now we have seen where folks are coming in or placing an order online, and they're placing it for one drying towel. And you can tell they've probably just thought, I've always wanted a drying towel. I should just buy this one and try it out. And maybe it's a waffle weave, maybe it's a gauntlet, maybe it's, a twist and shout. But but then it's also fun to see like people who have stocked up. They've got a stack of towels and gallons of product, and they're going to town. They're going to work on their car.
They plan on doing a little education.
They've got, like you said, they've got everything done. The house is clean. The garden's clean. It's time to get the car cleaned up. And so it is unusual to see the number of people and how it's going. But like I said, we're thankful that everybody's doing so well in the TRC family, because that's it's a very interesting time. And I was saying this on our last one, was that I noticed a different change in the way certain people react. Dane and Anthony, 10 years ago, you guys were young 20-year-olds, 18-year-olds when 2008 happened, right?
Yeah, 18,
Yeah, you guys were graduating. I was 28, and Morgan, you were
I was 10.
10 years old. So yeah. So, but you look at like what their memories are of 2008. You know,
Oh, yeah.
I had, you know, they're graduating high school and, you know, starting their first year of college. So it was kind of like
film school in California, the most expensive place to be at the very wrong
Right.
time to do it.
Right. Yeah. And, you know,
Yeah.
where I had just bought my first house and was trying to figure out how I was going to make a mortgage payment, you know, for the first time in my life. And so, you know, and Morgan was just going to school, living her best life.
Definitely didn't
you know,
notice.
It's a very
Fourth grade,
Right.
it was lit.
yeah, like it, but it's different because you look at these, there's the way people look at timelines of previous events. So I can look at it and go, in 2008, these are the things I had to do. I remember cutting all these services and just going straight to here and making sure like it was just my wife and I, we, you know, secured what we had and just plugged away. Where, you know, Dane and Anthony had a very different viewpoint for that time period, and Morgan had a very different viewpoint. And I'm sure it's the same with you.
True.
You know, with
True.
what you guys did. Like it's nice having that life experience. I not wanting to say, you know, us older guys are smarter, but it's a different viewpoint.
You have a longer timeline and more points of reference to look back.
Exactly.
Yes,
Exactly.
yes, but this is something new for all of us.
Oh, this
You know,
this is
so-
unprecedented. Yeah,
this is
absolutely.
this is in all of our timelines, you know. So this is
no,
something
this is
that
unique for an entire, well, a few generations. Because I mean,
It's
the last time
unprecedented.
anybody had anything like this was at the beginning of the 20th century. So it's been a
Yeah.
long time between a
Yeah.
pandemic and a huge market crash and huge unemployment. Those are all things that haven't happened in 100+ years. So
yeah.
Well, I think that, like, to Levi's point in terms of kind of like life experiences, like you're kind of like, you know, back in 2008, you know, there's certain things that were kind of like ingrained into your brain, right? Because you've seen something kind of tragic happen. You've seen a market crash,
Yeah.
and you've kind of seen, you know, who was most affected in that area, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, I remember back in 2008, because I had just started my job at Lowe's, which is like a home
Yeah.
improvement store. And I remember that, you know, I'm 18, I'm just starting there. I'm getting a grasp of what's going on, but I mean, not fully. And I'm seeing that a lot of these other coworkers that are also getting hired onto Lowe's were people that came from Micron, or they came from other data companies,
Tech
or they came from
firms,
technology companies. But what was, I think that impacted me the most is that my girlfriend at the time, her parents were home builders, right? And they had built, I don't know how many different homes that they still were paying on, right? That had not sold yet, and nobody was
like
buying
spec
houses.
homes.
And so what they ended up doing is they ended up eating it, man. They lost all of their homes. They had to sell their own home. They had to move into a rental, right? And it was just super tragic for like the housing department. So like when that happened, in my head, I remember thinking, oh, wow, you know, housing is scary, right? Like real estate, housing, all that stuff is scary because it can be super high reward, but at the ultimate highest risk of that's one of the biggest purchases that you'll make. And that requires the most amount of money, obviously, next to buying a vehicle. And so dealerships were kind of like, you know, tanking, housing departments were tanking, you know, things like that. And so I would say throughout like the rest of my life, like I remembered what had happened. So in my head, I was kind of like, well, you know, I see all of my friends, you know, just a year or 2 years ago that were literally just rolling it in real estate. They were making hand over fist in money, right?
Yeah.
And they were doing so well. But in my head, I was always like, yeah, you know, that's good until it's bad, right? And I thought that literally just so many months ago. My wife is a real estate agent, right? So I can kind of say this, but you know, she was, you know, doing great. Everything was going
They're
great.
riding
You know,
that wave.
just a few months ago, right? And then this hits, and then now everybody that was in real estate or everybody that was doing that is, I mean, they're seriously scrambling. I mean, I'm not, you know, me, I guess nobody's going to be listening to this from my wife's company, but my wife's company, you can tell that they are slashing prices like crazy, trying to get people into homes, doing whatever the hell they can and running extremely aggressive promotions, because you can tell that they were riding that wave for so long and that high, and then this hits, and then they were unprepared for it. Because let's just say if they have 450 homes in the Treasure Valley that have just been built, they're paying on utilities on every single one of those homes until they can get somebody into that. And it costs quite a bit. And so seeing that, I'm kind of like, well, I'm kind of glad I never got into real estate. But at the same time, I'm like, well, when it's good, it's good. But now when it's
feast
bad,
or famine.
It's definitely not great.
Yeah, no, that is a really challenging part. But I think one thing that I've seen on a positive note is more people taking note and paying attention to the quote unquote essential workers that are out there, grocery store clerks, people who work at the post office, all these different things. People are taking more notice of them. They're actually really finally giving some credit to people who otherwise the job sounds menial, but the reality is they're the people who make sure that this stuff is functioning every day for us to be able to go about our lives in what we consider a normal fashion. So I just really want to put out a big thank you to everybody out there who has to work a checkout line, who has to work at the front desk at some place that they clearly would rather be anywhere else right now. It is a bit of a convenience, certainly, to work from home as we've been able to, because there's a lot of people out there who unfortunately can't. And oftentimes they're the ones in some of the most compromised positions every single day dealing with this stuff, whether they like it or not. That's where their paycheck's coming from. So it does make a big difference for them. And I just want to make sure that people acknowledge that they're doing it. And if you're lucky enough not to, then, tell them thanks the next time you see one.
Yeah.
Yep.
100% agree.
Because I worked that job for 15 years and it was very thankless. Any kind of retail job, just nobody cares.
You're right. My son, he works in a supermarket, and he's complaining about this every day because they wear these vests where they have written on the back that they should keep 1.5 meter distance. I don't know how many feet that is, but they should keep distance. Yeah. So what happens when they put grocery back into on the shelves? People already start grabbing over them, so they don't care about them. So I totally agree with Dane. It is like a job that has never been respected, and but still they're doing it today, So and everybody
it's not hard to say thank you, and it can make a big deal.
And if it wasn't for him doing that wouldn't be on the shelf.
Yeah,
exactly. So everybody is talking about healthcare. And yes, of course, people. But I had a discussion with a UPS driver who was in healthcare before he became a UPS driver. Yeah. And he was like, yes, I know everybody is applauding for the people who work in healthcare, so they are appreciated. And that's good. But he was like, they chose the profession, so this is something they chose. I am a driver. I drive packages, so if I don't deliver the packages, something stops as well, So, and this is what I think. This is what you're saying.
He didn't sign up to work in a pandemic.
No, but nobody did. Nobody did.
But nurses and emergency workers, there's a certain level of understanding that you might come into contact with these sorts of things in normal conditions. Whereas somebody who works at a grocery store and has a low wage or is a delivery driver, yes, ultimately the fine print says they probably signed up for it, but realistically, nobody's going into that going, yeah, I'm definitely going to go and, maybe it's Ebola this week. It's not, it's not something that they said, that's going to be part of my job. No,
100% not. And I'm not saying that the people in healthcare are, because nobody was prepared for this. Everybody was, because that's the complaint that we have now here in Europe, is that they say, we knew this might happen, but we are not prepared. Why are we?
Well, they've been talking for decades about pandemics eventually coming around, and they do once in a while, but you hear there's a flare up and then it's gone after maybe 2,000 to 4,000 cases around the world. It's kind of mellow out. But this is really.
This is the same thing that you have in business. If you have a business plan that you want to make up for the future, you come up with ideas. And you come up with problems as well, So you think, okay, I might run into this problem. But it is the conversation at that moment until you run into that problem. Yeah. And then you're like, oh, yeah, shit, we talked about this. So why did we prepare? Why didn't we take action? Why didn't we do that? So, but that's kept in hindsight. You can't do anything about that.
Yeah. Well, and I used to, I learned from a previous boss, he always had cash on hand and had always set it up so that there was always, at least a couple months' wages in the bank account for the entire staff. And on top of that, then he also kept the same amount in cash. So he had kept some in the bank, some in cash. That way he had like at least maybe 4 months covered. And I always thought that was weird. And I remember I asked him, I was like, well, when like a polisher would break and he would throw a big fit about having to replace a $200 polisher. At the time, we were all using rotaries. And I would go, I know what we have in the bank account because I helped do payroll. Like, we have the money. Let's just buy a $200 polisher. And he's like, nope, we can't touch that. We can't, that is the limit. Like, we can't go past that. We have technically zero in the account. So we're not, till these checks come in, we can't do anything about that. And I always thought that was strange until I opened my own shop. And once I did that and started planning and doing, like you said, with a business plan, it was like, oh, now I see where he was, because he never missed a paycheck, never missed a payday, never had the point where he was like, oh, guys, I don't have money. I can't pay you this month.
You never want to be the boss who can't make payroll. You become instantly the worst. That never happened. That never happened. And that was something he was proud of, that he could he was always able to pay the guys, that he never missed a payday. Because we heard about a lot of detail shops where guys just weren't getting paid, or they wouldn't get, paid for 6 weeks or whatever. So his plan was, he did it out of more spite towards those other detail shops. Like, I can pay my team, I can always pay my guys, and I'm set to pay them at any, if anything bad happens. Where other shops were, literally paycheck to paycheck with their team. And, we got a little bit of money, so here's some money for you. Here's, it's not your full pay, but it's something. That was their normal. Please don't leave.
That was their normal order of business. And so to see that juxtaposition between those, it created a lesson for myself for work, to make sure we do those same things in the business so that we're not caught, when something like this happens. Now, we can all say we were ready for this personally, but not all of us were ready for this personally, and a lot of families aren't. And so, anyway, it's just good. It's just good to be able to have this, have us go in and work what we're doing, and be able to,
But it's a good point that you're referring to now, Levi, because with hire, it's not difficult to hire staff or employees. It's not difficult, but it comes with a responsibility as well, so people rely on you. And the longer they work for you, the more they rely on you, so because that's where their future is built on. And so I totally agree with the story that you were saying, and I totally agree with your former boss, so that he has the money in the bank. And that's what we had as well. Yes, you can be like cautious how do you say that? You can be like cautious with the money you spend. So and that's what we did. And yes, sometimes we have the money in the bank, we can do this investment, we can do that investment. And now I'm thankful we didn't, and that the money is in the bank, and that we can pay our staff, and that everybody is still happy, although they work from home or whatever. We can call them and ask them, and they reply immediately, so if we need to have something fixed or done, they do it immediately, within their capability, of course. Yes, I'm happy we can do that, and I'm happy we grew the business like this, that it's not like a one-day fly if something happens. I read this article with it was like an American article. It's like, in these periods of time, you can see who swam without trousers, so who was a naked swimmer, who lived on the edge, who everything was on. So, and we don't want to be that guy. We want to be like sustainable. I hope it makes sense what I'm saying. I hope
it does.
No. It makes perfect sense.
what is let's catch some of the listeners up on Rag Company Europe. For those of you guys that have been following the Rag Company Europe on Instagram, you checked out the website.
And
go ahead.
Follow us on Instagram, because we need like 30 people or less at the moment to hit 15K. So
there you go.
We would really appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's only 20 or 30 people that we need at the moment.
It's not that many. Come on, guys. Get in there.
So, Patrick, if you want to give us kind of a rundown, I think people would be most interested in knowing, what are currently the biggest towel sellers right now? What are currently the biggest chemical sellers right now over on your guys' side of the world?
Yeah.
The biggest chemical seller that we have at the moment is Optimum No Rinse. Followed up by Wool's glass cleaner, and the interior combo does a great job as well. So very, very happy with these products. Towel wise, the Gauntlet is really picking up. And what we see now is that and I have to thank Timo for that, and Marvin from the Glass Boss and the Autolack Affen in Germany, for picking up the towels and promoting them, because that is a huge help. And I have to thank Lars from Color Lock as well, because wherever he goes, he mentions the Rag Company as well. So that is really awesome. So what we see now is we are picking up in Germany, which is an awesome thing, because that's something that we've tried with other brands for many years, but the Rag Company is something that they like. And we see that in the orders, and we see that we get a lot of response on social media, email, questions from Germany, and that's really awesome. And we are about to release the ragcompany.de, which will be a German website for the Rag Company, and Timo will be our representative for Germany.
Excellent.
Yeah, no, Timo is awesome, man. I couldn't think of somebody better as an extension of the Rag Company to represent us. I think that he's extremely knowledgeable. I think he's well worded, and I think that you can tell as a person he is wanting to learn. Like he's like a sponge. He absorbs all that information, and he does a very good job of relaying that information and basically in teaching people and explaining. And I think that, like I said, when we linked up over in the UK, and everything I said, you can tell he was listening, and he was able to interpret everything that I said, and he was able to interpret it in German, and by getting the point across. And he's been doing awesome. I mean, we're very proud and happy to have him on board doing that for Germany.
Thank you for saying that, and I know he appreciates your words. So thank you for saying that. Thank you for mentioning that, and our feeling is mutual. Timo's a really good guy. When we met, the feeling was there immediately. So sometimes you come across some guy, and okay, this is the right one. With Timo, that's the case. So and he's very very eager, and I think he will bring the Rag Company Germany up to a next level.
Without a doubt. And I think that one thing that we need to start kind of doing a little bit more on our end of things is explaining more, giving more promotion towards Europe and everywhere over there, because it's hard, because on social media, most of our audience that we have on social media, I would say probably 80% of what we have of our dedicated viewers are located within the US, but the other 20% are European, and they'll stumble across the brand, and then we send them towards your way. But I think a lot of people, they don't realize how close we are. Like, I think they think like, oh, that's just somebody selling over there. And I explain, I say, no, we're so closely in contact, and our inventory is so close together. Buying from us would not make sense if you're in Europe, because you're paying for those shipping costs. And they think, well, I want to buy the real thing. I'm like, I can't explain this enough, how much Rag Company Europe, they are the real thing. They are more real than you could ever imagine. And
it's like they're afraid they're going to get like a knockoff Coach bag or something if they go over.
Exactly. And they
no,
they
it's
think,
not. It's the real thing.
And and it's funny because like I've even explained a couple people that really went in depth, and they were kind of denying. They're like, well, no, I think that I've felt towels from you, and I've felt towels from the company, and I want what you have. And I'm like, you don't understand. We will go from our factory to Europe, and that will be it. You will have the same stuff. And and they don't quite understand it, but I try to do my best to explain it. It's just hard because when we promote for the European audience, we try to promote that on our page. Only a small fraction of those guys see that, and we hope that awareness gets out there more, and it's just more well spread because we are worldwide.
Anthony,
we are.
Yes, in all honesty, I won't complain. So I won't complain about the attention we already have. Of course, we need more attention. Yes. Yeah. So if we see where we came from and where we're now, and still growing, even in this period of time, I know bigger things will come. So especially with the German market. For us Europeans, Germany is like the US. So for you, it's very easy. Everybody within the US, they speak the same language. That's not something we have in Europe. We have different languages. So if we try to promote something, we have to promote it in multiple languages. That makes it more difficult, so it's not one post that will catch all the audience.
Well, your message gets diluted by trying to cater it 10 different directions at once. I mean, it's tough to give everybody the full beans when you're kind of like, well, I also have to include this one little caveat for this country over here and stuff. It's like, if you could just make it dedicated, then it would be easier.
It's very difficult. What we try to do, the majority of the posts are in English. Some of the posts that we got from Spain, because we have a distributor in Spain as well, we use the Spanish language, and we see that more Spanish people come to the ragcompany.shop or buy from the Spanish distributor. And so we need all these languages as well. So that's why we are looking for people that want to promote the brand within their own country. And we try to make it as easy as possible for them to stock up towels and sell them and make a profit and be happy, So, and we know the products are good. And so there is no worry in that. And if people ask, is this real Rag Company stuff? Yes, it is. So
we're saying right now, yes, it is.
Yeah, but on the other, I can't get
show them this video.
No, that's one thing, So, but on the other hand, what an ass we would have been, So what an ass we would have been if we would try to sell other towels, So of course, because we are the Rag Company Europe, we get many inquiries from China if we want to become their partner. Right. And but that's not the case. It's not only about the towel. It's not only about being the Rag Company Europe. It's more than that, So it's a commitment, and that's what and that's where Timo comes in. That's where Florin in Spain comes in. It's a commitment. Yeah. People that are willing to go for the brand. It's a commitment, and it's a train that they can get on, and the train is moving. So if you're listening now and you're still thinking about, should I go for the Rag Company? Yes, you should. The train is moving. Hop on. Otherwise, you'll have to catch another train, and it won't be the Rag Company train. So
No, that's true. That's the. I think that's the funnest part about it, is that I like that we've tried to do this as a company, is to try and allow our customers to be able to buy multiple options. So wherever they are in the world, and we've tried to set it up for everybody. And for those of you guys listening, Patrick is the one who handles Europe. So he basically is the one who figures out who he wants to distribute to and who is going to carry Rag Company brands. And so we've vetted Patrick, and we've spent time with Patrick, a lot of time with Patrick, and we trust him, and he's a really good friend of ours and a really good family member of ours. And the people that he chooses,
just anybody.
Yeah, and the people but he's also got a really good sense of character on people, and so there are installer, distributors of the rag company that Patrick has chosen, and then there are other people that have requested, and Patrick has denied and we've always gone along and accepted, because that's his he's the one spending the face-to-face time with them. He's the one that is vetting that company, and so we don't just say, hey, you got to sell to this guy too, because that's not that. We hire people at the rag company the way Jeff and Carolyn have always wanted to, where they hire them for the person, the person that they are, the people that they look at it as, who do we want to invite over to our home for a party? We don't want a loud, crazy, wild, it's going to break the windows and damage the furniture. We want someone who can hang out, tell some fun stories, have a good laugh, and is just fun to be around, and has that same value and core system that we have. And Patrick follows that as well. And so that's why when we talk about Timo's that same way, like just a good, really cool guy, good guy. Morton and Evan and Edwin and everybody that's a part of that team, and Florence.
But it's the same.
And those guys.
It's the same with John in the UK. So same story. And thank you for your kind words. So but like you were referring to, and sorry for interrupting, by the way.
No, you're
but
fine.
What you were referring to is that I think, yes, it is about money, yes, but the way you want to earn money, that's a different approach. So like you were saying, I think that if everybody who is supporting the rag company at the moment, if you invite them and we have dinner, we will have like a blast of a time, so because everybody will get along. And I think that's the most important reason. It's not, yes, in first case it's money, because there need to be food on the table for everybody's who is involved and support their families, of course. But there is more about money. There's more than money. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say, So the people that we work with are more important. And at least that's, and I know you guys feel the same. And Dane,
I see a lot of companies that do that. I was just gonna say, I see a lot of companies that are literally for the money only. They'll take anybody under the sun. That customer will distribute for them for 3 to 6 months. They'll get horrible reviews. They won't do their job. They won't help their customers. They won't respond to, inquiries or anything like that. They only
they file for bankruptcy and appear under a different name somewhere else some other time.
But then everybody goes, hey, I thought you guys, what happened? You guys picked that person to be your representative, and that guy's a jerk, and I don't want to do business because you're associate. He took me for a bunch of, we don't want that. That's why we do what we do, and we're very selective and choosing in the way we do it. Because you're right, Patrick. In our party, we have a party at SEMA, and it's the closest thing we can get to where we're, as we say, in Jeff and Carolyn's backyard, and we're having some food, we're hanging out, we're telling stories, and it's the same thing with all our vendors. Everybody we carry, we try to have a really good relationship with, because it's part of that family, like
TRC family Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
But that's how it feels, So it's a very pleasant event to be around with, and they're pleasant people to be around with, So the guy that is breaking windows, that might be Anthony. It's not windows, it's like golf balls. But it's like Happy Gilmore in Top Golf, So boy, he can hit.
Yeah, no, he can.
It's not accurate, but it'll go far. Well, I guess the other question, right? So, because we've seen you guys using, a ton of WOA's products and been kind of promoting and posting different things. I think we've asked this before, but what are your current favorites within the lineup that you really like to use? Because I would imagine by now you're actually really liking using the brand.
Yes, and I don't think you have all of them. So we don't
have all. We have most of them, but not all of them.
Yeah. So one of my personal favorites is I don't know. Do you have Awesome Foam?
We don't have
No.
awesome foam. No.
Now, there are two things I really like about this product. It's like an active foam, so you have to be quite careful with it. So if people buy it from us, it comes with a description how to use it. I think that's important, because if you let it set too long, I'm not saying it might damage, but you get like stains.
It's got
foam bite to it. It's got some bite to it to where it can actually clean on its own. It has some cleaning properties to it, to where and to be honest, that was actually one of the reasons why I don't want to say we were scared to bring it on, but it was a different approach to foaming than what we do here in the US. And it would have to be an entire re-education,
that is
series, to where we would have to explain to people that this foam does have cleaning power, and this foam can break down things on its own, but it's also not going to be like your traditional snow foam that's very powdery and fluffy like snow. It's very has a long dwelling time, and it sheets off very flat. Like visually on the vehicle, it's a very flat laying foam, but with a very long dwell time to actually have some self-cleaning ability. And like I said, fantastic as that was, we just felt like with detailer shampoo, we needed something that was pH balanced and very neutral, to kind of get people trained on a different style of foam, and then maybe eventually work our way up to that.
It is such a challenge for people, because if you've worked any kind of customer service in this industry, you understand how hard it is to break people out of their established habits. And if they think that a product is supposed to work a certain way, and you introduce a new product to the environment that has a name like soap in it, then they assume, oh, I know how to use a soap, not realizing that this is going to behave differently than what they're traditionally used to. Oh, well, this is different. It's soap. It's all the same. I'm going to use it. And then they come back and they complain very aggressively that it did not perform the way other soaps they've used performed before. And you say, I tried to tell you that. And they say, whatever, it's wrong. Give me my money back. And you end up in that situation. So, yes, I'm sorry, but folks who do that sort of thing are the reason why we can't have nice things sometimes.
No, but that makes sense. They react as aggressive as the foam can be, So and this is how we sell it and how we promote it, So here in Europe, a lot of people use foam to impress, or use it for the pictures in social media, So impress their customers. Sure. This is not something to impress your customer with. You can do both. You can have like beautiful pictures, but don't take too much time to take your pictures, So that's the idea. So this will really help you clean the car, and the smell of the product I really like, So that's something I really like. So this is one of my the interior. Coming back to Anthony's question, the interior cleaner and sealant is something that I really like.
Sure, yeah.
And the other products is that, the clean wheels. Clean wheels is a product. It's awesome. It's like a crazy product if you're not diluting it, So
it's strong. It is very strong.
It is really strong. But if you need like a real hammer to cut something or to break something, to break dust or whatever, this is a product that might be helping you and might be helping you a lot. So just play around with it, but read the description, because how do you say it? Description? It's description, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So read how to use it. There is a label on the product, because this is something I did myself, So I'm the kind of guy who buys something, installs it, and then it doesn't work, become angry.
And then you go back and you check.
And then you read the manual, So, and then it was like very easy to handle. So that's the thing that I did with some of the wool products when we took them from Waxstock last year. And I think it was last year or the year before. But So what happened? I used some of the product and I really didn't like them. The reason why, for instance, we had Hydrobead. I had my car washed and the car was dry, and I was like, Hydrobead, I need to use Hydrobead. And I sprayed it on the surface, wiped it on, and I got stains all over the car, I was like, what is this? So I'm trying to apply more product to reactivate.
Level it
that
out.
was the idea. Yeah. No. That didn't happen. It got worse, So, and then I called Fraser, And I told him, what's wrong with this product? And he was like, did you read the label? And he was a bit more, to be honest, did you read the label? You know?
Yeah, no, blunt.
And I was like, no, wait,
right.
let me do that. And I read the label and I was like, this is not how I supposed to use it. So what I have with customers now, because we had a lot of complaints with the Hydro Bead, to be honest, people who got stains. So what did they do? They washed the car, sprayed Hydro Bead on it, let it dry. So you have like all these dripping strokes on the car, and they look nasty. But you have to dry the car afterwards, and it's on the label. So for some of the products, and I totally understand why you didn't pick them, because
you just explained why.
It's just
it's customer experience, accommodating those situations, and doing a cost benefit analysis of how many of these irritated people do we want to deal with who didn't bother to read the label, and trying to balance out.
True. Yeah, and for us, it's the level of how many more questions a day do we want to answer, and
we get plenty already.
Do we have to answer all these questions if we're going to add? And that's one of our very first things we ask when we see a new product or play with a new product that may have some difficulty is, do we have the manpower to possibly field the questions and comments that are going to come in? Because as of right now, let's say we have 3 dedicated customer service people that answer everything that comes in regarding everything. And from there, they disperse it out to the rest of us and say, hey, I can't answer this question. Can you answer it? And the level of stuff that Anthony and I used to be the ones that did all this. So it got to a point where that was our day. It was just answering and calling customers and dealing with this stuff for a towel issue, or I can't figure out the dilution ratio on O&R.
We'd never be able to get any videos done because you guys had to do all that.
So then it was like, okay, we need to hire. And now it's a new product. Do we need to hire somebody to handle any questions, or how do we go about limiting the number of questions? That was one of the things with like Clean Wheels. It's a very strong product. What happens if people come to us and say, hey, this happened, this happened, this happened? So that's why we took that time before we released it to say, let's get all our ducks in a row. Let's figure out the best plan going forward. And then, here's what we can provide for not only ourselves, but also for our, the rest of our world partners that are going to be selling this product. And here's the label. Here's the stuff we've decided. This is what we've guessed and tested and decided. And hopefully it will minimize the amount. And that's everything, because right now our biggest beast for customer service questions is still an IK sprayer. People ask, where do we put the batteries? You pump it up.
It's true.
It's that kind of, it's that level of stuff.
Because it's the most mechanically complex thing we sell.
Yeah, it is. So
it's not even that complex, but it's just it opens up more variables for people to find new and creative ways to misunderstand things. So
it's just one of those things people need to read. Read the directions.
I think
we do all these videos to try and educate, but at a certain point, you can't hold everybody's hand through the entire process.
And I think we have a different clientele within Europe than you guys have in the US, because if we tell people to read the damn label, they feel stupid and they're like, sorry, man, I should have done that, So I'm not quite sure how that is in the US.
No, the US goes, why should I? Like, or
they go, it's the whole I'm not wrong, you're wrong.
No,
while knowing full well that they're wrong.
They'll pull the IK sprayer out and they'll set it on the counter, and the box, comes with the manual and everything. They just chuck that. They throw that in the bin, and then they're like, all right, unscrew it, fill it with product, call us up. Hey, it doesn't work. It's like, okay, did you read the manual? Did you check? I don't know. No. Threw it away. One crash day, it's gone. I don't have that. Where can I find it? Like,
one thing I want to throw out on top of all this is, yes, it sounds like we're venting about, oh my God, everybody is just terrible. No, the reality is this is a very loud minority of people who get products who then go forward and feel the need to complain to the manager, so to speak, about anything and everything that they don't like at that given time. And it may not even be the product. They may just be having a bad day. You never know. But the reality is most people don't have these experiences. It's just, you tend to remember the ones where you get those. So yeah,
Because-
I just want to throw that out there so people don't think it's just a nightmare every day.
No,
It's
but
not.
it's good that you're mentioning that, Dane. It's very good that you're mentioning that, because the majority is liking the product, so, and that's the same thing here in Europe. But I know what you guys do when you sell the IK sprayers and how much signs you put on or in the box, just to be sure that people read them. And
that's still not a guarantee.
No. But I can tell you, we don't have these issues within Europe, and I'm thankful for that. So I'm not sure that people in Europe read how to use the product, or maybe know how to use a product. I've never had the question for batteries, but I'm thinking about the patent about this. So I'll file for the patent tomorrow to see if we can get like an IK on batteries.
See, you're reasonable though. A less scrupulous merchant would be like, "Yeah, I'll sell you those batteries." Here, you got awesome. Some D cells. Here you go. That'll be $50. Yeah.
No refuse, please.
No refunds.
But well, that's good. I'm glad that there's some of the good ones in the Woes line that you guys are liking and that they're selling great. We've been having a lot of fun with the line. I know a lot of customers that have been having fun with the line. And then you guys also brought on PNS, or are bringing. You've got Bead Maker, and you are bringing on the rest of PNS, but you're kind of working through some stuff.
Yes, that's a bit more difficult here in Europe, because when we import stuff from the US, your SDSs are now in compliance within the EU. So, and that is very cost worthy, So now we have like 3 products. That's the Bead Maker, the Brake Buster, and the Express Interior Cleaner that we have validated for Europe.
And that's great. Yeah, that's great.
That's great, but we pay for this, So if people ask, why are these products a bit more expensive? They are in compliance as well. So if you start working with them and the government checks your company, you can hand out an SDS that is in compliance with what you need to show them, So
and
these things, but people take this for granted. So they think if people forget, if they buy from you or if they buy from AutoGeek or whatever, even if as a private user, if you buy something from out Europe, you bring it to Europe, you become an importer. So you have to be, you can be reliable for what you import. And if you import and start selling, that's where it becomes even worse, So it's not only that we have to pay for shipping, we have to pay for the import taxes, and we also have to pay for the documents to have it in compliance to be within Europe. Because I think it is Brake Buster that comes with 1 warning sign or 2 warning signs in the US. We have 4 in Europe, so we have to change the labels and all that. It's not only the document that you need to pay for, we have to change the labels as well. So that
it's a big undertaking that a lot of folks don't understand. And, it's just part of what your guys' policy. Also, we're all just trying to make sure that we're safe and we're in compliance wherever a product is going. And, and I know that people wonder, well, how'd you get Wowos? Well, Wowos came from Scotland, so it was already in compliance, and
that was a bit more easy,
and and O&R, when you guys brought on the Optimum stuff, you did all that to bring on the Optimum line into Europe. You guys did that,
but for that, something changed as well, because O&R comes with a warning sign here in Europe,
which sounds insane to me.
But it comes with a warning sign on the label, So here in Europe, we are not allowed to use that warning sign because it is not a dangerous product, So we have all the ingredients, and we what they do is, because we are not doing this ourselves, we hire a company that does it for us, because we don't have the expertise anymore, and it got way out of our hands. So they do this, and they run down the American SDS, and they see what is in compliance within Europe, and how an ingredient is, how do you say that? Documented. Is it as dangerous, or and that is different within the US, because I had a discussion with I'm very sorry, but I forgot his name, the chemist of P&S, Bob's brother.
Dave.
Dave.
Yes, and he was kind of surprised that some of his products or some of their products came out so different, or more dangerous or less than they were filing them, so but that's the difference that we have. We have like a global harmonization system, which I always say isn't global, so, and if you're not aware of that, you can get into serious trouble, because they will not only close down your company, they will fine you, and it's like an economical delict, because if I do all this and we spend money to be in compliance and somebody else doesn't but still sells, he is ahead of me money wise, so he can offer the product cheaper because he's not spending the money the way we do.
Compliance stuff.
Yes, so they will be fined for that as well, but that doesn't help us. We just want to be. I'm not looking at a competitor or somebody else selling P&S. We have a nice example. We have a German distributor for P&S. It's not our distributor; it's P&S's distributor. But they ran into the same problems, and they called us if they can have our SDSs, and we handed out our SDSs just because. I don't believe in competition. I think competition will help you. If they grow the brand in Germany, it will help us as well, So
raise
I
awareness.
think
It's more known. Yeah.
Exactly. If I'm the only one that has P&S within Europe, I had to make so much noise. I have to make so much noise.
You have to hope everybody comes across you. So
yes, and that's not the case. And if you think that's the case, then learn. It's not the way. It's not the way. No.
Awesome. Well, Patrick, thank you for being a part of this, man. This was awesome. It's
thank you, guys.
It's always good to catch up with you and hang out and see. And we still don't know what's up with Waxstock, if we're up in the air with how that's going to go or not. So it's it'll be fun to see you regardless sometime in the future. But this is, like we were saying at the beginning, this is probably the only way we're going to be talking to each other for a while now. So, but at least we get to spend some time and enjoy the lovely view of your backyard.
Yeah, the future's on hold for a little bit, so enjoy your backyard.
That's the only benefit I have now, so because we work every other day, as soon as the sun is shining, I will be working outdoors, so I'll take my laptop out and I'll be in the suns, catch some sun and vitamin D, so that's or skin cancer, whatever, so
whichever comes first, I guess.
Oh my God. No. But regarding the events, so we know you guys wanted to come to Automechanica as well, and we have to see what will happen. I'm not even sure if SEMA will happen.
So right now we're not sure either. We know that SEMA is basically saying it's business as usual.
It's constant updates that they're doing.
Yeah, so we'll find out. We get our booth pick probably in the next couple weeks. We'll figure out where we can move our booth to, and we're going to keep going with SEMA until SEMA says, "Hey, we're not doing SEMA." And if that happens,
I'm imagining this scenario where you remember where there for a while there in the mid 2000s there was this, or later 2000s, there was this thing where they would have an iPad on top of like a robotic pogo stick with wheels. So it's just like a little scooter, and it'd roll around, and it'd be like people. They did it in the episode of the show Community, but like a lot of other shows made this joke where like people did virtual learning, but it's literally like the person's on the screen and they're sitting in. And it's just their face, but they're following along with a little camera. And SEMA, you're at the booth, and it's just people sitting at the booth, like real people out there, but a bunch of robots rolling around as all the attendants.
With iPads.
Like, oh, check out this car, and like the little pogo stick moves up and then down. Check out, look at the underside of that SEMA truck, whatever. How dumb that would look.
No, yeah.
Well, we don't know. Maybe now you say it would look dumb, So
watch, it's gonna happen.
Yeah. Well, SEMA basically said they are refunding any if they cancel it, they will refund any booth money. So we're
safe.
So we're safe because we've already been paying, and so they're just saying like, hey, if we have to cancel, we're refunding everything. So but fingers crossed. It's not till November, so hopefully stuff starts to clear out and we, figures out. I'm sure it's going to be, all of us know how fast it burns through the SEMA flu. And how many times
anything that spreads,
we got hand sanitizer fast. And we're washing our hands.
We do that every year anyway.
Yeah, but everybody always gets sick just because, there's a lot of people and you're flying and you're in contact with crowds and it just happens. So I'm sure there's going to be more masks. If SEMA happens, there'll be more masks.
Yeah.
There'll be more, a lot
more
hand washing, more gloves. And maybe less people.
Less people allowed to visit. Yeah. So we have to see and what it will bring and hope for the best. So and I wish you guys all the best. And
thank you, brother. Same here.
Thank you for having me on the show. And talk soon. We'll be in touch.
Okay. Dane, take it away.
Thank you for coming on, and we really appreciate it. It's been a fun talk. Covered a lot of interesting things, I think, for people to see a little peek behind the scenes at, how this whole thing works. And yes, I can't believe I have to say it again, but TRC Europe, real TRC products. So don't feel bad. Go buy from them. They're great. No, not a thumbs down, thumbs up. Okay,
it's a Wash Wednesday. Yeah.
Yes. So, anyway, let's reiterate that point. But thank you so much for being on. And to those watching, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the Rag Company Podcast YouTube channel, in addition to our main channel, of course, the Rag Company YouTube channel.
And check out Rag Company Europe on Instagram, Rag Company Europe on Facebook.
And you have a YouTube channel as well.
Rag Company
we
Europe
have a YouTube channel as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Check out all of Nolan's work on there.
Check out TRC Europe.
One more thing. I'm using
your new
the time,
podcast.
Of course. Exactly. Together with Colorlock, we have created the Detailing Talk Europe, where we invite people from the industry that can tell something about their expertise. So that can be leather repair, it can be wrapping, like we spoke with Justin. It can be female detailers. That is something that is a growing area as well, so that is very interesting, where we have Jolka from Poland, Josina from Belgium. We have Igor. We had already a conversation with, we had a podcast with the CEO of Maniac Auto in France, who is it's like the auto geek of France, So and that's very interesting to meet these people. John Hall will be in one of the podcasts as well. So we are trying to get all the people that are involved with the detailing industry, detailers and resellers, trainers, whatever. We want to have them on the podcast and share their experience.
So where can people find the podcast? I want to make sure they go subscribe to that.
Yes, I will send you a link because Lars didn't work it out to get the channel fixed, So I asked Dylan and he got us the channel. I think it will be live on Friday. So now he posted on his timeline. I will send you a link and hopefully you guys will mention it in or future podcasts.
I will include it in the description below this video. As soon as we got it, should work out timing wise, people will be able to check it out. So we got you covered.
We can put it on the screen too. So
yes. All right, guys.
Thank you.
Till next time, this is us saying adios.
Adios.